The Sports Source is brought to you by Fast Frame, with exciting Vol sports prints now available.
This is The Sports Source, presented by Bill Hotz and Associates, and by Renewal by Andersen, with your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into The Sports Source. Happy to have you here today. This show, of course, brought to you by Renewal by Andersen. We appreciate them doing that this week for you. We like to branch out and do some different stuff here on this show, especially during the summer. And we thought it might be an interesting way to go back and look at some of the greats in Tennessee football history over the last 25 years by doing our own version of an all-vol fantasy draft. And we'll explain how this is going to work. We're also going to talk a little bit about what is the main goal for Tennessee during fall camp. What's the one thing they have to accomplish? So we have a little fun, we get a little serious stuff. We even have a surprise on today's show. So let's just dive right in. This first segment of our program brought to you by Renewal by Andersen. You've heard me talk about them. They have tremendous doors and windows, of course. They're the absolute best you can buy in terms of design, durability, beauty, efficiency. But I want you to see for yourself. Awesome showroom they've got at 111 Northview Street. 111 Northview Street, that is just past Homburg Drive. If you're going down Kingston Pike, if you're going west on Kingston Pike, take a right just past Homburg Drive. 111 Northview Street. It's their tremendous showroom for Renewal by Andersen. And if you get in there tomorrow, by the 31st, if you get in there and you start buying windows, replacement windows, they will install them for free. You got a day. Get down there. Renewal by Andersen. All right. I want to welcome in this panel we have today. They've all got stuff in front of them. Bob Hodge, and it's not just crumbs and spilled drinks as usual. We got Bob Hodge, we got Mike Griffith, we got Mike Strange, we got Chuck Cavaleris down there. Again, we thought wind down the summer. Obviously, next Sunday we have John Curry, UT Athletic Director, is going to be with us. We're into football season. We do our all-vol show where we have all the VFL. Thought this would be a fun way to wind down the summer and look back at some previous greats here on the Sports Source. So what we're going to do is a fantasy draft, and they've already been bickering over who picks first. That will be Chuck, but here's the way we're going to do it. Let me put up the rules here for you. Everybody in this everybody has to have played between 1992 and 2016. So as long as they played that 1 year, 92, they could have started in 89. But as long as you started in 92, you're counted in this. We're only looking at the core of a team. We don't have time to sit here and draft an entire team. So what I did was I picked each position group, and we've given every guy here one shot in that grouping, okay? So it's quarterback, running back, you get a receiver or a tight end, offensive line, linebacker, defensive back, and then one special teamer. That could be a kicker, a punter, or a return man, depends on which you value most, okay? And then finally, we had to have some sort of way of cutting off the eligibility of who's actually in this thing. So what we've got is, if you were an All-American, if you were a first-team All-SEC player, or if you were drafted in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft, you were on our list, okay? Now, that leaves off some pretty good guys. Pretty big names didn't make the cut, but we had to have some sort of criteria to get in there. So what we're going to do, we're going to start right here with quarterbacks. Let me put up the quarterbacks, and right off the bat, let me say that I'm bending the rules. We only had 4 quarterbacks that fit that criteria. So to make it interesting, I have put Casey Clausen, who was not All-American, first-team All-SEC, or drafted in the first 3 rounds, and I put Josh Dobbs, same thing, put him in there, just to make it interesting. You got Eric Ainge, Casey Clausen, Josh Dobbs, Peyton Manning, T. Martin, Heath Shuler, Chuck Cavaleris. You won our very tightly watched flip of the coin. Who do you take first? You have the first pick. Is it the obvious?
Oh, of course it's the obvious. I mean, it has to be Peyton Manning. And I'm already one leg up on having the best team overall because I'm taking this serious. Peyton Manning with the #1 overall pick, baby.
But he can't coach him.
All right, so Peyton Manning is the first one off the board. I think I know who the second one off the board is going to be. Do I, Mike Strange?
Well, I want to see if Griff's going to offer to trade up for Casey Clausen. No, I'm going Heath Shuler, and happy to have Heath Shuler. Of all the quarterbacks I've watched at Tennessee, Peyton was Peyton, but Heath Shuler had a excitement about him. I'm very happy to have him on my team.
Here's the interesting thing, and I'm the one that's going to be grading this at the end. And since Chuck's already made me mad, Heath Shuler may be more valuable now with the style of offense that people are running than he was even then. Yeah. Gives you something to think about.
I'm going to
who's
give
got the
Peyton a
best
little bit
quarterback.
more input into what kind of
Can
offense
Peyton
we
run? Can Peyton run? All right, let's go. Who you got, Mike Griffith?
Well, since there's only one offensive lineman and one running back, I need a guy that does a lot, so I'm going with Josh Dobbs. And he should have been first-team All-SEC, by the way. That was ridiculous that
He should have
Jalen
been.
Hurts was first team. Josh Dobbs led the SEC in pass efficiency. He led the quarterbacks in touchdowns produced. He led Tennessee to a record for points scored and yardage this past season, and only 12 yards short of breaking Peyton Manning's total yardage mark, which he would have had if Butch hadn't pulled him in the second quarter of that blowout against Tennessee Tech. They didn't pull Manning. They ran his numbers up all year for the Heisman.
I'll expect that kind of statistic knowledge with you. Let me put the graphic up once more there, Nick,
I'm
if we
stunned.
could. If we go, I don't know if we can get the graphic of the quarterbacks back up there. Apparently not. Don't worry about it. There it is. Okay, so we've had Manning, Schuler, and Josh Dobbs. Somewhere, if Casey
Who I was
Clausen
going to
sees this
pick.
online, he's going to be very upset
Casey
with
would
you.
pick Josh Dobbs ahead of him, so he had a better complementary cast.
Okay, so it's up to you, Bob Hodge. You got Eric Ainge, Casey Clausen, T. Martin. Who's your guy?
I tell you what, I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna go all Mike Griffith here and pick Casey Clausen for one specific reason. Casey Clausen was very good on the road when he was at UT. Haven't had a quarterback since that has won on the road as consistently as he has. He doesn't really fit the 2017 offenses very well,
Right.
but I think he would be the next man up for me.
One of only two quarterbacks to beat Steve Spurrier twice at the Swamp.
Yeah, I mean, and you're talking about it. I think the record 34-10 overall, second most wins, and 14-1 on the road.
So the guy who doesn't get picked, or one of the guys that doesn't get picked, national championship quarterback T. Martin.
Yeah.
Okay, you had a pretty good list there. There'll be people who'll throw things at their screen over that one. All right, this means that, Bob, we now reverse the order as we start with our running backs. And while you're thinking of who you're going to take, here are your running backs. Sean Bryson, who was a third-round draft pick. You've got Charlie Garner. And here's the thing. Most of these guys were not All-America or first-team All-SEC. Most of them are in here because they were in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. Charlie Garner, who was spectacular. Jay Graham, Montario Hardesty, Travis Henry, Alvin Kamara, Jamal Lewis, Travis Stevens, who was All-American, was All-SEC first team, and he's the one that wasn't drafted in the first 3 rounds. And then you got little man Stewart, James Stewart.
Wow.
Arian Foster not on that list. Pretty good back in his day. Cedric Houston, Gerald Riggs, 1,000-yard rushers didn't make that list. A lot of guys not on there. So, Bob Hodge, who's your running back for this team? To go with Casey
Well,
Clausen.
to go with Casey Clausen, he's got to throw to somebody out of the backfield, so I'm going to go with Charlie Garner.
Pretty electric player. Okay.
I mean, he's a good combination pass catcher and runner. So Charlie Garner.
Okay.
Garner.
Charlie-
Garner.
Charlie Garner. All right. Mike Griffith, who you taking?
I'm going to give the ball to Jamal. I think Jamal Lewis was absolutely dynamite in 1997, and for the purposes of this show, we're getting these guys at their best. And Jamal was one of the most dominant runners in the SEC since Herschel Walker. I still remember when I was covering Alabama, Mike Dubose had 10 different Tennessee game films on his desk in July. And I said, what's that all about? And he said, that's about Jamal Lewis. We're not going to win that game unless we stop that guy. And that was when they had Peyton Manning. So Jamal was the guy everybody went in trying to stop and still had an unbelievable freshman year.
All right. Mike Strange.
I was certain I would get Charlie Garner in the 3rd round, Bob. I was certain.
That's the way the draft goes.
Jamal's a good pick. I'm going to go Travis Henry.
Yes.
I'm going to go with Cheese.
Hard to go wrong there. Travis Henry, who of course was on our show. Now that's the interesting thing. I'm going to mention that throughout the show. A ton of these players were on our
Right.
show last year. Just in the last year, thanks for supporting this show, because there aren't many shows out there that bring you all these former Vols greats like we have that are part of this show. All right, Chuck Cavaliers, you get the number 4 running back. Plenty of good guys up there. Sean
Plenty of
Bryson,
good-
Jay Graham, Montario Hardesty, Kamara, Travis Stevens, James Stewart.
You know, I like the versatility of Sean Bryson, and I think he showed that in the NFL. But it could play fullback, he can play running back. You know he's going to be able to block a little bit, and with Peyton in there, that's important.
Yep. Okay. So Sean
Wow.
Bryson is our 4th pick. All right. So let's see. Casey Clausen, Charlie Garner, Josh Dobbs, and Jamal Lewis, Heath Schuler, and Travis Henry. I think that's pretty good. Peyton Manning and Sean Bryson. And the Bryson pick cost you. All right. When we come back, we are still going to talk about Tennessee's fall camp a little bit. But up next, we're going to run through the great names of wide receivers and offensive linemen. Come on back in the Sports Sources. We have a little fun.